This is the Tech Support Guy Show, episode 71 for September 22nd, 2013, Travel Apps. Welcome to the Tech Support Guy Show. I'm Mike Cermak, known on the site as Tech Guy, and with me, as usual, is Daniel McCarthy.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing today, Danny?
I'm a little under the weather.
I am sorry to hear that.
These things
I think
happen.
there's a lot of that going around, though.
Yes, there is.
Today we're going to be talking about traveling and some of our favorite ways of traveling, a couple of my favorite travel apps. We're going to jump right into it. I was telling Dan I haven't been traveling as much lately as usual, and he does not believe me and gave me good examples to disprove my theory. And as a result, I have some suggestions for traveling. One of my favorite apps for traveling is a program called TripIt. And I actually have on my phone here, I've got an Android S4 that's my primary phone, and I know Dan can't see this, but you'll have to imagine it. I'm going to hold it up to the camera here just to show you. And I actually have a folder where I've put a bunch of my common travel apps. And in there I have stuff like Google Maps, of course, that you use all the time. I have ZipCar, which we're going to talk about in a minute. I have TripIt. I have TripAdvisor, all sorts of good stuff like that. First, I want to talk about TripIt. That's my favorite app for traveling. And if you go into TripIt here, it gives you a summary of upcoming trips that you have. And I can click on this too, because I have 2 upcoming trips. It shows me that I have 2 upcoming trips and when the next one is. I can click on this Madison trip. And what's neat here is it shows me a nice summary of each of the events on my trip. For example, here at the top it has, 3 o'clock, Washington to Cleveland, U.S. Air flight, a lot of, such and such, and then Cleveland to Madison, and then directions from the airport to the hotel, and then check-in information for the hotel, and gives you all of that information all in one place. And if you had a rental car, it would have that in there as well. And the way it collects all that information is whenever you get your confirmation email from the aircraft, from the airline, or from the rental car company, or from Expedia, or from whoever whoever you buy it from, you just forward the email confirmation to plans@tripit.com, and they automatically parse that email, whoever it's from, and put that into a database with all of your travel information, so you don't have to look. Isn't that great?
That is one of the most simplest technologies you can do, parsing an email like that. But so few companies are doing such simple technology like that. That's great.
And it's so useful for me because whenever I would, be traveling all day, get to the hotel, my name is Cermak and no one can spell Cermak, so they always want my confirmation number. So I would have to go into my inbox, go into the travel folder, search for this hotel, now I just open this app, and the top thing is where I'm supposed to be right now, so it knows I should be checking into the hotel, and right there's the confirmation number and the date and the cost and everything that was in the email that they had sent me. All parsed and easily found right there. And like I said, when I get off the plane, in Madison, it'll say, "Do you want directions to the hotel?" It's just a great way to have all of your travel information all in one place. And I really like it. And it's free. All that I just described is free. They have a pro version you can pay for, which is $49 a year, and it adds other features that I use that I think is pretty cool, like tracking your points. So if you've airline travel points, you got hotel points, you got all this, and it'll keep track of them. It'll tell you when they're going to expire. It tells you how many you have with who, because I can never keep track of that. I'm going to be staying at such and such hotel. I wonder if I even am a member of their points thing, because everyone has their own. So it makes it real useful to find all that. And the other thing it also does with the paid version, it allows you to share your information with other people. So I have my wife and my father on my account. So whenever I'm traveling anywhere, should something happen, should they need to track me down, should a plane go down and they're not sure if I was on it or whatever, they can easily go into TripIt and see all of my travel arrangements. That actually happened with my father. Back, I think shortly after I was born, he was traveling for business, and there was a plane that went down at the airport he was going to, and this was before cell phones, Dan, and my mom was freaking out, and I don't remember it, but I've been told the story, over and over again. And here he gets to the airport and gets his luggage and gets a taxi and checks into the hotel and has some dinner, and then finally calls her, hours afterwards, and she's just so upset he didn't call earlier, but he had no idea it had even happened.
Right.
It's just one of those things. So anyhow, so this is helpful so people can easily see all of your travel arrangements and so on. And then the other thing, of course, it also does is it alerts you if your travel plans change for some reason. I've had a couple times where airlines have changed the departure time of my flight, and the airline didn't notify me, but TripIt will notify me, which, at least I catch it that way. So it's...
There's also social features, so you can share to your Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm not sure about Twitter, but Facebook and LinkedIn I'm positive of. So I see regularly this, and this is how I know that Michael does travel a lot. Michael is leaving for a trip. Michael is returning from a trip. If you go to Michael's timeline, you're going to see that there's a bunch of leaving and returning.
Yeah, I might be guilty. and it's just such a great program. It's definitely worth checking out, and try the free one and see what you think, especially if you don't travel too much. But if you travel a lot, I mean, $49 a year is just worth it for all of this. And the other thing it also does is because it sees how much you paid for your ticket, a lot of places will they'll reduce the fees as it gets closer, as they try to fill the space. And there has been one occasion where TripIt sent me an email saying that you paid so much for this flight, it's now being offered for this much less, and even if you consider the $200 fee that the airline's going to charge you to change the price, it's still going to save you money. So it's weird, and that sort of stuff's also part of the pro thing. But anyhow, it's worth looking into. It's a really neat feature.
That sounds like it.
So I like that a lot. That's one of my favorites. I use it all the time. One of the other things I love about it is whenever I'm getting off the airplane half asleep, and they usually come over the intercom of the airplane and say, welcome to Philadelphia Airport, and your luggage will be arriving at and you're like, what was it? And even if you did hear it, by the time I'm awake enough to walk off the airplane, I've forgotten, and then travel through an airport I've never been in, and finally get to the baggage area. I'm like, was it E3 or B3 or where am I going? What city am I in? And what's neat with this program is whenever I walk off the airplane and the cellular kicks on my cell phone, it instantly says, hey, your baggage is going to be over at E3.
That's really nice.
Just, it's a neat little program. So definitely check that out. One of my favorite for traveling. I would hate to do it without. The other app I wanted to mention, and it's more than just an app, the other service is called ZipCar. And I think you're familiar with ZipCar a little bit, Dan.
I am.
And so the basic idea of ZipCar isn't really for traveling. Their primary purpose, their focus is for people who live in big cities. So if you live in Washington, D.C. or New York City or Boston or Chicago, any kind of big city, a lot of people who live in town don't have cars because you've got mass transit. You don't need it. It's just a hassle to have to deal with having a car. So the idea of ZipCar is you become a member of this service, and they give you a little card that acts as a key to get into their cars, and they have Zip cars parked all over the city. In various little parking lots, there'll be 2 or 3 here and 4 of them over here, and it's not like a rental car agency where there's 60 of them in one place, but they're spread across the city in different parking lots and parking structures. And so what's nice about it is that it's $50 a year to join, but it'll work in any city where they have Zip cars, which is a lot of big cities in the U.S., almost any big city in the U.S., and it's come in handy for me when I really didn't want to rent a car. When, for example, I had a trip to Seattle not too long ago, and I was in downtown Seattle for the entire trip, except one day I had to go out of the city, way out of the city, for a meeting. So I rented a Zip car. I brought out my app, I hit Zip car, it showed me, hey, 2 blocks away, there's 3 Zip cars. This one's $9 an hour, this one's $11 an hour. And you rent it, you walk down to the lot. It gives you directions to where the car is in the parking lot, but on the app you can even hit a button to have it honk the horn or flash the lights of the car that you've rented. Nice. From your app. And you walk over there, get in the car, drive to the meeting, drive back, and you get charged $20 for 2 hours or whatever it was, instead of having to rent it for the entire length of my stay there. And then, if I rented the car, I would have been paying hundreds of dollars to rent the car for that week. Plus, I would then have to be paying probably hundreds of dollars to park the car in downtown Seattle that I was renting and using once. Are you with me?
I'm with you. It definitely makes sense.
It's come in handy so many times. And I've had so many instances where I was in Chicago, for example, did not rent a car, had no intention of leaving the city, and something came up and said, hey, there's this neat dinner thing, we should go do this. And so I just pull out the app, instantly, rent a Zip car that's a block away, and I'm done.
That's really nice.
It's really handy. If you travel a lot, it's definitely worth looking into. And like I said, it's $50 a year to join it, and it's come in handy for me. I'm sure I've saved that many times over versus renting an actual car.
Now, do they present you with insurance options, or is your insurance responsible for any damage that?
Yeah, it's just like renting a car. It's just you're renting it by the hour instead of by the day. So most insurance, including my insurance, will cover it if I'm the driver of the vehicle. Okay. You want to check with your insurance, of course, and they do offer other insurance options if you don't have your own car insurance. Right. Because again, their main goal is for people who don't have their own car. So they do have options for that.
Yeah, I would be interested in their dispute resolution and things like that. Because there's always,
luckily, I've never had to worry about that.
There's always a ding on the car, right? A scratch or something like that.
That's true. The only thing I've ever had with one of the ZipCars is one time someone left something in it. There was a toy, or I forget what. I think it was part of a Halloween costume, but I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was like a sword or something. And so I got in the car and there was this plastic sword there, and they have a way of doing that through the ZipCar app. You say, "Hey, I found something," and tell them what it was, and then one of the ZipCar people will come take it out of the car next time they come through that garage, and they have a lost and found, but it's marked as reported immediately.
Nice.
So it's kind of it's cool. It's a really well handled system. I've been very happy with it. So those are my two big favorites for traveling. My two big favorite apps, and. Dan, last month, we did a review on Chromecast.
Yes.
And for those who missed it, you want to say just a quick word on what it is and tell us about how you use that?
Chromecast is a screencasting device that is designed to be used with your tablet or your phone, Android phones. And it works with the iPad and the iPhone as well, and it's a device by Google that allows you to take Netflix, start it on your phone, and cast it to a TV by plugging this device into your TV. The Chromecast is an HDMI, the only port on it is an external HDMI out and a USB power port that can be either plugged into your TV or to an external power supply. But it works with Netflix, it works with YouTube, it works with, I believe, Pandora now. Redbox is also looking to get on there, and HBO Go. We use this when we went to the Outer Banks to play Netflix. So we plug this device in there. We set it up using the Chromecast built-in kind of Wi-Fi, its own internal Wi-Fi network, and within 5 minutes we're watching House of Cards at the beach.
I need to watch that sometime. I've heard such good things about it.
We've only watched a couple of episodes, but yeah, it's a pretty good show.
I'm a big fan of their Orange is the New Black, by the way.
I haven't watched that, but I've been told that I would like it. Chromecast basically allows you to watch what you want when you travel. Now, it's not necessarily good for hotels because hotels cripple your bandwidth. They don't let you get anything remarkable. And Chromecast is pretty bandwidth heavy. It's a wireless-only technology, so you have to have a fairly decent wireless network. And as Michael has recently discovered, you must have a router that has UPnP enabled.
Yeah, sadly, after Dan's great review of Chromecast, I was very excited to try it and bought one, and it arrived here at my home, and I tried to set it up, and my router at home isn't a standard home router. I have a business router, and it doesn't support UPnP due to security issues with it. So I'm stuck not being able to run Chromecast, but Dan has, graciously offered to take it off my hands for me.
Absolutely.
Because that's how much he loves it. But you had mentioned, Dan, about traveling with it and that it might not work so well in hotels, and I think that's another thing worth mentioning while we're talking about traveling. I've had people who brought their iPad or phone or whatever with them on the plane, and the plane has Wi-Fi, and they think they can stream Netflix or Hulu or whatever, or Amazon through the plane's Wi-Fi, and it's even more crippled than a hotel's. I mean, you can't, if you read the fine print of the plane's Wi-Fi, they'll tell you that you can't use it for streaming video, and you simply can't. It's designed only for you to be able to send emails and to be able to post on social media that, heck, you're 30,000 feet in the air and you're connected to Wi-Fi. That's all it's good for. That's its primary purpose.
It's not for infotainment. You're definitely...
And generally at hotels, it varies. Some hotels will have great internet that'll be really fast and you can stream stuff, and then others will really stink. Generally, I found that if it's free Wi-Fi, there's too many people on it and it's too slow. If they're charging you $11 a night for it, then it might be mediocre.
Yeah. And mediocre is just about the best you're going to get when you're traveling for a hotel.
Yeah, if you're renting a home or something where you're on a regular internet connection like you would have at home, like Dan was saying, you rent a vacation home, you're going to the beach, whatever, then it's really a great solution, especially if you've got kids or 4 of them.
Yes. It rained a couple of times when we went to the Outer Banks, and Chromecast saved us. I mean, it saved my sanity.
You might not still have 4 kids had you not had Chromecast.
Exactly. Or, maybe 4 kids wouldn't have a father.
We shouldn't joke about such things. Excellent. Well, you have any other last-minute tips or thoughts on this, Dan, before we try and wrap it up?
No, sir.
Great. Well, thank you very much. We might do another one with some other travel tips. I have, Dan was asking about what kind of hardware I carry, and I was telling him about a nice backpack I got for that. So we might do another episode if you're interested in that. Give us some feedback. Reply back in the comments of the thread or on the YouTube or whatever. Subscribe and visit us at techguy.org. And we'll see you next month.